Hey everybody, welcome to our first episode of A Good Day to Bake. Today's episode is focusing on a good day to bake a delicious chocolate chip cookie. I want to welcome everybody to the channel as we walk through becoming good bakers together. Now to start out today, you can see that I have all of the ingredients already laid out. So I have my mixing bowl along with my paddle attachment. I prefer the paddle that has the scraper on it as well. Here we have our baking soda and our salt. We have our sugar separated out. We have our 2 eggs. We have our brown sugar separated. Of course, always make sure you compact it and level it off. Then we have our flour in the bowl. We have our vanilla ready for use. We have our 2 sticks of butter. And then of course, the best part of a chocolate chip cookie, our chocolate chips. Now to get started, we want to combine the flour, the baking soda, and the salt together. Now, you can mix this all together using a knife if you prefer, or you can mix it all together using a whisk, whichever is easiest and readily available for you. Okay, on to the mixing bowl. So we want to take the 2 sticks of butter, which comes out to a cup of butter, and we want to put it in the mixing bowl. Now this recipe does call for the butter to be softened. What does softened butter mean? So softened butter means not melted. Melted definitely changes the way that a cookie will bake. Softened means if you put your finger in it, and yes, my fingers are clean, you see how it pushes in and you can see the indentation from my finger. You can see it in the other areas too, where I was testing it while I was getting it ready for the video. So this is softened butter. So we have the butter in. Now we are going to add our sugar. And we are going to add our compacted brown sugar. I used light brown sugar. You can use dark brown sugar as well. And then we also want to add our vanilla extract to the bowl. So here we have the 1 teaspoon of vanilla that I am adding in. Extracts are something you want to make sure you always measure out exactly. A little bit goes a very long way. So if you're one of those freestyle bakers, which can alter what you're making, try not to be so freestyle with the flavor. Now we have everything in the mixing bowl. So we're gonna put it down, make sure we lock it. And I'm gonna put it on medium speed, and I'm gonna beat it until it is creamy. What creamy means is the butter itself will change color. So you'll see it actually lighten in color and it will be softer. Usually takes about 1 to 2 minutes for it to become creamy on medium speed. Medium speed for my mixer, I am using a KitchenAid, is a 4. So each mixer is different, but it is a 4 for me. So I'm gonna turn it on. See how it's starting to get lighter in color, smoother in texture. This is really important in the baking process. It helps to make sure the cookies rise properly and then everything aerates and incorporates. And there we go. All right, next we are going to add in the eggs. There's 2 large eggs in total, but you add them in 1 at a time until they are fully incorporated. Make sure you don't get any shells in your batter. I like to incorporate them on low setting on the KitchenAid mixer. That way I'm not over mixing while I'm trying to incorporate the egg. And fully incorporated without over mixing means just enough to make sure you don't see any more yolk. So about there. Add in our second egg. Again until fully incorporated. that looks incorporated to me. Now it's time for us to add in our flour mixture. You want to do this a little bit at a time. Get a spatula as well. Scrape down the sides before we start adding in the flour. Might give it just a quick little run. No, actually that's looking pretty good. Set that down. I'm gonna add just shy of about a cup. Now the more flour you add, the more your mixer is going to resist against you. It's probably going to spray. If you have a cover for it, I would use it. I do not have a cover for my mixing bowl. So I started on just stir mode at first until I know it's not gonna go everywhere. And then I crank it up to a 2 until it's incorporated. And then I add a little more. Again, not quite a full cup. How much you add in and how many intervals you use on this doesn't necessarily matter. You just want to make sure you don't overmix in the process. All right. Okay. Oh, see? Had a little come out there. There we go. Almost done. And pour in the rest. Give it a quick mix, then we'll wipe down the sides. Wipe down the sides just to make sure everything gets fully incorporated. Oftentimes flour will build up on the bottom. See, you can see a little bit poking out there on the bottom. Make sure we flip it around. Get it nice and mixed up. Go. Now it's time for the best part of chocolate chip cookies, adding in the chocolate chips. Now at this stage, you can also add in a nut of your choice if you wish. I prefer just a good old classic chocolate chip cookie. No nuts for me, but that is definitely always an option. If you are gonna add nuts to it, add about a cup of nuts. As far as chocolate chips, you'll find some recipes say 8 ounces, some recipes say 10 ounces of chocolate chips. I like a really chocolatey cookie, so I like going for an entire 12-ounce bag of semi-sweet chocolate chips. Semi-sweet, in my opinion, is the best kind of chocolate chip for a chocolate chip cookie because it has a nice balance between the dark chocolate and a milk chocolate, so it's not super sweet. And gives good flavor. You might prefer a milk chocolate cookie. That's definitely an option as well. This one, I'm just gonna click it on real quick just to get it to incorporate. You can see the mixer's really resistant. And there we go. And there you have it. Your dough is ready. So now that the dough is done, you can see I got out my cookie sheet. And I lined my pan with some parchment paper. I usually make cookies either on parchment paper or normally a chocolate chip cookie on some tin foil. Couldn't find the tin foil for this video. The reason why I do that is because I like a softer cookie, and the cookies will continue to bake once you pull them out of the oven, especially when you leave them on a hot pan. So putting them on tinfoil or parchment paper makes it a lot easier to pull them off that pan and put them onto a cooling rack as soon as I get them out of the oven so that they don't overbake and they achieve that consistency that I'm going for. Now you want to make sure you roll out your dough however big you want to do it. Just keep in mind that they will spread when they cook. So you want to space them out the bigger that they are. I space mine about 1.5 to 2 inches and definitely make sure I keep them from the sides. So now that I have all 12 ready to go, I'm gonna put this in my preheated oven. I have the oven set to 375 degrees. These are in the oven now, even though you can't see that. And I'm going to set a timer for 9 minutes. Now these cookies do tend to cook between 9 and 11 minutes. Like I said, I like a softer cookie, so I normally pull mine out at 9. Now while that one is in the oven, I'm gonna start prepping the parchment paper for the next one, so that when that batch comes out of the oven, I have this one ready to go. So what you didn't see with the last batch is really kind of how you make the balls. It's up to you. You can use a cookie scooper, very nifty tool that you can purchase from just about any store that sells any kind of home goods or baking products or utensils, things like that. You can use a spoon. Spoon works as well, or you can do as I am doing and just kind of freeform the shape. You can roll them out if you want so that they get a nice roundness to them. When I'm making cookies that I plan on selling or giving out to friends and family, or something that's going to be used for a presentation for, let's say, the holidays or something, then I do typically like to go for a rounder cookie. But if I'm just making these for my family and my kids, especially my kids, then it's less of a concern because they're gonna eat them no matter how pretty they look or how round they are. Usually this recipe will yield, depending on the size of your cookies, anywhere from 30 to 36 cookies. All right, and there we have it. We are just about ready. And then we'll have just a little bit we need to put on the third and final batch. Okay, so timer has gone off for the first batch. These are nice and done. You can tell by that gorgeous golden color that's on the outer edges, and see how it's starting to golden on the top of them. You can see it on these here. As I mentioned, cookies will continue to cook even after you pull them out. All right, now I'm going to pull the cookies off the tray and put them on a cooling rack that I have over behind me. Okay, now that I have the other batch on the cooling rack, I have moved our pre-made parchment paper over to, you can see it's starting to melt really, really fast, over to the cookie sheet. There we go. All right, and now we're ready to put this one in the oven as well. And again, 9 minutes. I might actually go 8.5 on this one. Okay, so now it's time to just finish up the last little bit that we had. Get our parchment ready. That way, when this last batch is done, we can pull them off and pop these in. Okay, so with the final batch of cookies in the oven, you can see this is the first set that we pulled out. And this is one of the many advantages of doing it on parchment paper. You see how easy they move around. You don't have to worry about sticking. And then there's the second batch that we pulled out there. So you can see on that one, I didn't even follow my own advice with proper spacing. So 4 of them or so are kind of mushed together. That's all right. They'll still taste delicious, but they don't have that nice round shape that the ones here do. So just wanted to crack open a cookie to kind of close a great day to bake a chocolate chip cookie out. See, perfect cookie, lots of chocolate chips, definitely ready for a nice glass of milk. Thank you all for joining me on today's A Good Day to Bake adventure. Definitely look forward to seeing y'all next time.